Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Surrey School District Mental Health YouTube channel, also known as the Surrey Schools Mental Health 40. My name is Daniel Toa. I'm your host, and we are doing this broadcast from the shared, unceded traditional territories of the Katzie, Semiahmoo, Kwantlen, and Coast Salish peoples. We are so happy to be on these lands doing this wonderful work as we talk about mental health. Now, this channel typically is a Pro D channel for staff and families and students to look, to watch, and to look and see, what they can learn about mental health. We sometimes interview guests, and sometimes we have resources that come on and talk about their resource. But in the month of May and June, I really like to focus on who we're all here for, and that is for the students and for the families. And sometimes we interview former students, sometimes we interview current students, and we've interviewed, if you look back at our YouTube channel, we've interviewed students from Tweedsmuir, from Tomatoes, and today, and we've interviewed Sanjana before. Am I pronouncing your name right? I haven't seen you for 2 years. Sanjana before. She used to be a student at Semiahmoo Secondary, and she talked about her app that she built at the time as a grade 11 and 12 student, called Esprit or myEsprit, which
Yeah,
was a mental health, journaling and networking app for kids. But now she's gone off to university, done some other innovative things, and today is sort of a catch-up time to talk about her experience in Surrey schools, what's led her to university, and what she's up to now. We really want to follow the journey of this student who was such a leader in mental health when she was a high school student, and now she's doing some more innovative things in university. So, Sanjana, welcome. Just maybe introduce yourself again for those who didn't watch our video 2.5 years ago. Introduce yourself, talk about your experience in Surrey schools briefly, and then what you're up to now. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, sounds good. So thank you so much for interviewing me today. And thank you for such a warm introduction. So, my name is Sanjana Karthik, and I went to Semiahmoo Secondary. As mentioned, my friend Asta and we co-created this mental health app and organization called myEsprit, and we received a lot of support from the school and from Dan, obviously, as well. So we got interviewed by him, and we received a lot of support from our principal, Mr. Ranu, as well. So yeah, mental health has always just been a really big interest for me, and that's why I was co-creating mental health apps with Asta, but also leading mental health campaigns and doing other sorts of work, and I'm happy to dive more into that as well. But yeah, overall I've had a really great experience at Semiahmoo Secondary. If it wasn't for their support, I probably wouldn't have gotten the scholarships that I did, and all of that support that's really helped me, because right now I'm at UBC on a full ride, and I'm studying sociology, but potentially
Amazing.
going social work. And I'm very grateful for the support and the foundation I got at Semiahmoo Secondary.
So before we dive into what you're doing now, when you built the myEsprit app with your friend, what was the reason you built that app? We did go into it, but I just want to review quickly. Why did you build that app? What was it for? And where is it today? Is it something that you've pivoted to doing something else, or is the app still being used by students? What's happening with that app right? Why'd you build it, and what is happening with it right now?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, like, just in general, I think mental health is a really important topic, and we both kind of, Asta and I kind of both discussed. I mean, obviously she might have her own personal reasons too, and I don't want to speak on her behalf or anything of
Of
that sort.
course, yeah.
But yeah, no, I know that, at least for me, like, I saw that a lot of times mental health was more so talked about in the form of mental illness, and there
Yeah.
was always about, okay, now that we have a mental illness, where do we go from there? What resources do we go towards? And I
Yes.
think it's important, but I think it was really nice to also kind of integrate, like, I guess, daily habits and opportunities to have good mental health, instead of looking at it
Yeah.
just negative kind of connotation that we kind of apply to it, and make it seem like it's something that's more accessible, and something that should be tended to on a daily basis. So that's why we ended up having things like the gratitude journaling, the goal journaling, the reflective journaling, mindfulness resources, and obviously resources and symptoms of different mental health issues, and to obviously support people. But yeah, just kind of looking at how can we integrate supports on a daily basis to help people kind of thrive. And
Yeah.
right now, us aren't working on the app right now, but it is still available to people on
Oh, it
Google.
is.
Yeah, it's still on Google Play. So if anyone ever wants to download it or check it out, we'd really love that.
Okay.
that it serves whatever it is you guys want, but it's really nice. You can like personalize it and, have goals and, have, you know, your own personal account where you can kind of keep track of what you're doing on a daily basis to make sure you're meeting those targets as well. So I really hope that it works well for anyone that is using it, and we're still open to feedback as well, but right now we're not currently directly working on it, but obviously the app is going to be there on Google Play.
Oh, awesome. And the thing is, just for those of you who are watching, no, this is actually a pre-recorded session because Sanjana's in school. Obviously, she couldn't come the time that we normally would broadcast. So in her bio, that I haven't asked her to write yet, but I will ask her to write a brief bio. She'll put the link and the name of the app as well, in case you are a Surrey School student or a parent that wants to log into the app and check it out. It is a great app. It's wonderful. Check out the interview we did a few years ago about it. But this app is really good for students just to look at mental health as opposed to the illness side. Look at the health side, how to keep your mental health healthy. That's why the app is so great and so phenomenal that it came out from two students of ours in Surrey. We're very proud of that. And so the app is still good. I'm glad it's still functioning. And if you could put the link in there so people can use it, that'd be fantastic. But now moving forward, you spent a couple of years in university. You've obviously learned a lot more than you knew before, right? I know that you got support in the past with the stigma-free, actually they're called stigma-free mental health. Now you got support from them, a couple articles about you in the newspapers as well. What have you now pivoted to? I know the app is still there. Kids can use it. Parents can use it. You can send them the link and they'll use it. But now you've learned a bit more. You want to go into social work. What have you moved on to now? And you talked about, when we did the pre-interview, we talked about, you have some new ideas that you've discovered as you've journeyed further into discovering how to keep mental health healthy.
Yeah, thanks so much for that question. So yeah, since high school, I mean, I guess also in high school I have been exploring this new way of looking at mental health called the three principles of psychology, and I've been kind of doing my own studying on that and also exploring it as well. So just to kind of give some information about it, the three principles of psychology basically kind of helps us understand how our mind works. And it's not like a prescription. So it's not saying you need to do this, this, and this. It's just kind of understanding how our mind works. And we talk a lot about, mind, thought, and consciousness, and how, our thinking and our awareness and consciousness of our thinking really ends up affecting, our sense of well-being.
Right.
And really helps point us to the fact that we all have this innate sense of well-being. So the analogy that a lot of practitioners in the field like to use is the idea that we all have this like sunshine within us, and
Yeah.
it's just yeah, and it's just kind of like clouds, like the way our thinking is, our like clouds, they kind of cover up our sunshine. So
Right.
we don't have our well-being sometimes when we're feeling really sad and upset or angry, and that can come in the form of what we see as symptoms of mental health illnesses, but in reality we're kind of taking a step back and realizing the nature of just our thinking and how it makes us feel like in that moment we're not well. But if we can kind of recognize on a spiritual level that it's just our thinking, it really kind of helps us, because in a day we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and I'm sure everyone here has had that intrusive thought of maybe when they're driving their car, what happens if
Yeah.
I hit that person?
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
Now if you say that out loud and you say different things like that, it's very easy in psychology, as I've noticed, even as a sociology student, I've kind of noticed that
Yeah.
people will put labels on you and they'll kind of categorize you, and they even have these kind of their own biases, like confirmation bias, like, oh, they fill out this checklist of what symptoms are.
Right.
But if we kind of take a step back and we realize, hey, it's just another passing thought that kind of comes by. So that really helps free us, and it was really freeing for me because I was dealing with the passing of my mother for a very long time, and I went to therapy, traditional therapy, for a really long time. And I always felt very confused because I was always told that, okay, you need to like move on, you need to change your thinking. But then at the same time, I'd be told, oh, it's okay to feel sad. So I was always a little bit confused. I was like, okay, I don't know what steps do I follow in this case? Like, should I feel sad or should I feel guilty and try to move on?
Yeah.
So for me, it was really helpful to recognize that, hey, it's just me having, one of those 60,000 thoughts a day and becoming conscious of it,
Yeah.
right? And if I just let that thought go, a new thought will replace it. Or even if I do think about that thought and I feel, sad because I'm thinking about a sad thought, that's also okay, because that doesn't mean that my reality is bad or my life is bad. It just means that in that moment I'm thinking about, something very upsetting.
Mm.
And then it just moves on again. So it's just been very liberating. And it's also just helped me in a lot of the work that I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, and what's cool is like, you took your skill set and your passion when you were at Semiahmoo, and you created an app. Now you're in university and you're looking at sort of this cognitive level of how you can sort of modify your thinking to have more positive a positive response to things rather than negative, right? Those
Yeah.
60,000 thoughts, having positive ones instead of negative ones, replacing negative with the positive. Are you doing anything right now? And again, this is being an interview of a former student and where you are at now. People who've interviewed in the past, right? And where you're at now as a former Surrey School District student. What are you looking towards as you move towards, third and fourth university, as you move towards a career, as you look towards maybe building another app? How are you going to take these ideas that you have, which are awesome, and what you've learned from all your different classes, and move that, pivot that to doing what you're passionate about, which is, making a difference in society, which I know that's what you want to do.
Thank you. Yeah, so right now what I'm doing is I am volunteering at senior homes and sharing this kind of understanding. And also I'm connecting with girls in India as well and doing these
Amazing.
thank you so much, workshops with them. So this is the kind of work I'd like to do. And also like we get to do emails kind of with
Yeah.
or like with like people who are inmates as well in
Yeah.
the youth, sharing this understanding with them.
Wow.
I'd like to continue doing this, and obviously, having clients maybe and sharing this understanding with them and to help them connect with that sense of well-being that's already within them, but just kind of pointing them in that direction.
Yeah.
Um, right now, I'm planning on hopefully applying to social work and then getting the social work bachelor's at UBC
Yeah.
and have an accelerated master's program, which is really cool as well. Um,
Amazing.
but for the time being, I'm also going to be gaining more work experience. So I'm going to be working at a mental health role at Options Community Services during this.
Fantastic. One of our partners. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. And
Yeah.
then yeah, no, they're so great and they have so many opportunities. And then also there's this online place called Durham Rape Center as well. So
Okay.
I'll acting as a helpline worker there too. And that's just the kind of work that I like to continue doing as well. So yeah, this is my passion, and hopefully maybe one day my goal is to maybe even make, like you mentioned, another app and maybe even a helpline as well that comes along with it and looks at mental
Okay.
health from the three principles kind of lens.
So, and we're about halfway through our discussion. I do want to move to the notion of equity. You mentioned that you work with girls in India. You mentioned, the Rape Relief Center, which is Darhan. You said, right? Um, oh, have do you choose that direction because of how you were raised, your ethnicity, your culture? What drives your passion for helping girls in India, for helping women in the center who are also from a specific ethnicity? I think Darhan is focused on East Asian women and Muslim and Indian women who go through that negative, horrible experience, right? And what drives you to serve, I guess, that ethnicity of people? Are like, is it because you were raised, your home? Why are you so passionate, not just about mental health and helping society, but helping this specific, South Asian group, right? South Asian ethnicity.
Yeah, definitely. I think it definitely has to do with the fact I am Indian and
Yeah.
um yeah, I grew up with Indian values and I've been kind of raised to look at obviously as a sociology major as well, looking at societal issues and how they've affected minorities, so looking at colonialism and
Yeah.
colonialism that does exist, which many people, maybe including myself, just maybe a year or two ago, weren't super aware of. So I want to be able to, use that knowledge and actually do something, because sometimes it feels very, I guess, disempowering when you're learning about all these ongoing issues, like with the IMF, with the World Bank,
Mhm.
and within Canadian law, unfortunately, and with the police force, how we see racism continue. So it's really
Mm.
be able to kind of do something, hopefully. I mean, obviously I'm not creating a systemic change, but I think
Yeah.
like
You could be.
I'd like to. That would be really amazing and one of my goals. But yeah, just being able to work with girls in India because I think they're so much more resilient, honestly, than me, and I think they
Mm,
deserve the world, and they could honestly attain so much if given the opportunities. And I've just seen how they make use of everything that they're given. They take care of their family. They take care of them when they're sick. They do so much
mm,
for their community, and because it is a collectivistic community, um, and it's just really nice to be a part of that. Like they treat you with so much love and kindness, and then you get
yeah.
to do that in return. So yeah, I guess just doing my small part is really meaningful for me.
Do you find that, when you're talking to girls in India, that there's a lack of understanding about mental health amongst amongst their family and the social network that they have? Like, is there a reason why, you're reaching out to them from Canada, right? Is there, or even amongst your cultural group, amongst, Indian, East Asian, is there, do you feel that there needs to be a better understanding of mental health and how it affects a person's life?
Yeah, I do think that's definitely important for sure. Yeah, I don't know how much they talk about these things.
I'll give you an example. So I'm Chinese. I came from Chinese culture, right? And in
Yeah.
Chinese culture, it almost, traditional Chinese culture, it almost doesn't come up. Like you grow up and you're almost expected. I have to go to school. I have to go to university. All of which you're doing. Like I gotta get good grades. I gotta go to university. I gotta get a job. I gotta get a house. I gotta have a family. Have some kids, right? And it's almost like mental health and a person's wellness, even physical wellness, is not really spoken about. I think more so now amongst maybe second or third generation in Canada. But if I talk to my friends in Hong Kong or China, like there's a lot of them are still working 15, 16 hours, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the culture. Like a lot of them, when I call them or text them, and I think about, oh, you guys are about to go to bed. It's like 8 o'clock. They're like, no, we just got off work, going to dinner. I'm like, go to dinner. It's like 8:30 at night. What are you talking about, right? And it's just that the culture is so different. But yet, as human beings, our mental health and our wellness is the same, right? So the same stress I would get from work here, they would have over there, but they're going through 15 hours of it instead of however many hours I work, right? And
Yeah.
so, I think that that's sort of where I'm just wondering if that's something that you see when you're talking to these folks, these girls in particular, in India, that their understanding of mental health is so significantly different from yours, just because of the cultural environment that they're in.
Yeah, for sure. I think um like when I talk to these girls, I do find them quite resilient, honestly, and I feel like
Okay.
connected to their well-being. Maybe they don't like learn about mental health, unfortunately, on an intellectual level, but I do feel like they're very much connected to that sense of well-being because they do yoga and we learn from a very young age like about spirituality. So I think that does help
Mm,
in a different lens. But I would definitely agree. Like I lived in India, and
okay. Oh, I didn't
I
know. When did you live in India?
I lived there in grade 2 to 4, and
Wow,
I
cool.
definitely feel like the teachers treated you very, very poorly, especially if you weren't doing well academically. You're basically in the bottom of the food chain.
Okay.
Um, and it's just, yeah, like that, like you were mentioning, a constant rat race almost. And I think sometimes just kind of forgetting, like, we're here, we don't work. We're not alive just to kind of work.
Mm,
So sometimes that message kind of gets lost, and I don't ever really remember talking about mental health in India when I was there, and I don't think there's that many conversations, but I know it is definitely increasing, and it should definitely increase more. Um, but yeah, I think in a lot of ways though, I will say like the girls that I speak to, because they're so connected to spirituality, and
mm,
I've also recognized, and there are studies that people who are, I mean, I myself am not very religious, but I know people who are religious often have that sense of
mm.
foundation that kind of helps them. And I know I've seen my grandmother that way. So even
Yeah.
doesn't talk about mental health illnesses, she does understand mental health, I feel, and has that
Mhm.
connection, which I think is really important. And
Wow.
that's part of the reason why the app was also created, is to not just
Yeah.
know about the mental health illnesses from an intellectual level, but to actually connect to, okay, what does mental health actually feel like for me?
Fantastic, and that's why I think, that app was so great. That's why I loved it so much, and, looking at the work that you're doing now, you're really, whether you know it or not, you are making a difference in the lives of those girls. Those girls are resilient partly because you're part of their life, right?
Oh,
So that's how, like, yeah, I mean, knowing that someone else cares about your wellness and your well-being can make any kids more successful than if they didn't have that person. So
yeah.
my last questions as we get into the last few minutes of our discussion, and I love catching up with you. I love this segment. I love interviewing students. I missed that part of my life as a teacher. And I think that if I were to interview you in 2 or 3 years again, what would you like to say your life will become? I'm curious. We always wonder. Okay, when you talk about you in high school, you're doing everything that you said that you would do. When I talked to you 2.5 years ago, I want to go to university. I want
Oh.
to study sociology. I want to go into social work. I want to talk to kids in other countries. I want to help those who need it the most. I want the app to still be existing. All of those things you've done, which is phenomenal. Right, Surrey Schools, fantastic. Right, Semiahmoo Secondary, Mr. Ranu, who's now a principal of another high school right now.
Oh,
But
oh,
yeah, but the principal of Semiahmoo, she's fantastic. I
oh.
know she's carrying on that tradition, and Mr. Renu is bringing his care and compassion to another school as well. But if I were to see you a few years from now, where would you like to say you've gone? Because I'm curious and want to catch up with you in a couple of years. Because everything you said you would do, you've done, right?
Oh.
And where do you want to go now?
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I hope I don't set myself up for failure by.
No, obviously you have not. I think you're still at UBC right now. You're just like just taking time between classes to talk to me. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, thank you, thank you. Like I mentioned, I would really like to one day make a helpline with the three
well,
principles kind of lens. I think that would be really amazing. But I think for right now, I need to actually understand what a helpline kind of looks like by
yeah,
actually participating. Now that I'm old enough to actually participate in one and help out, I think it would be really nice to kind of understand how that works. And I think it'd be really nice to have like clients and even if it's not paid, I just think it'd be really nice to be able to share the three principles understanding with people and with
yeah,
groups. um, I even am working towards even sharing this with staff members of like senior homes. So I think it would be really nice
wow,
because I've noticed that. And very innocently, nurses and staff, they're so overworked and understaffed.
yeah,
Sometimes I've heard people say, oh, this senior is crazy, and so many different kind of labels that come from our own biases and ideas of how the world should and shouldn't look like. And I think if we kind of change the way staff treat patients, I think they would feel very much more welcome and loved, especially because, maybe they're away from family and it's a
yeah,
difficult. So I think that would be a really nice thing to do. And hopefully even continuing to help people in India, I think would be really nice.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I do. We're very proud of you as a former Surrey School student. We're always happy when our students are successful, but even more so, changing the world. You're not just successful because you're making money or you got a lot of job offers. You're really looking to make a significant difference in the lives of people all over the world, and I really want to commend you for that and affirm you for that. And I will let Mr. Renu know what you're up to. Hopefully, when we broadcast this video, and again, for those of you watching, it's hard, you can't comment because this is pre-recorded, but definitely Sanjana will put the web link in there, her bio, and maybe even the three principles. If you can add that to your bio, that people can see, how you can really communicate to yourself, communicate positivity to yourself, and really trying to make yourself, you know, feel better and act better. And that's a huge part of mental health. It's a huge part of wellness. It's a huge part of of being able to take some time and changing your thoughts, the mindfulness, right? Changing your thoughts to be able to almost like encourage yourself,
Yeah.
right? So, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share at the end of this video? Again, my hope is that you share this out with the other videos so people can see where you've come from, but that you've done everything you said you would do, and you're going to continue to do that, just changing the world. We're so proud of you. Any final words?
Oh, thank you so much. I think just final words is to anyone listening is really just network and like connect with people because that's really, really helped me and like make the use of every opportunity. Like there have been times where, I've been given only so few little tasks to do. And then I've just asked, can I do more? Can I please like help out more? What have we tried this? What have we added this resource? And I know a lot of people are doing that these days, and it's really helped them. So and that's what also I think led me to connecting with Dan as well, and I'm very, very grateful for this. So I think just keep using the supports that you get, and being very grateful for it.
Awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
just want to thank you for agreeing to this interview. Again, for those watching, it is pre-recorded. Please click on the bio so you can see Sanjana's information, the link to the app that's still going on, the 3 principles she talked about, and also some of the work that she's doing. Whatever she has in her bio, please read it. Please, continue, continue to encourage young people. If you're watching your staff, continue to encourage young people like this, because the kids you are teaching right now in your classrooms could one day be someone like her, trying to make it just a significant and palpable difference in society. So Sanjana, thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for the opportunity you've given me to follow up with you, because the one thing we don't always get to see as educators is what's happened, right? Where have the kids gone? I think Mr. Vanu and all your teachers, I'm going to send them this link when it broadcasts. This will broadcast in 2 weeks, Sanjana, just so you know. So I'll send you the link to share with everybody. I'll send it to Mr. Vanu and all your former teachers. My hope is that they'll see, how the influence that they had in your life and the wonderful person that you've become, and the great work that you continue to do to change the lives of girls in India, women who are, call into this helpline. And my thinking is, if you want to set up a helpline, you will set that up. If you want to get a social work and help your clients, you will do that. You will continue to volunteer all over the world. You'll continue to do that, because you're definitely, your passion is driving you, and you're successful because of it. So
Thank you so much. That's so,
no
so
problem.
sweet. Thank you. That
No
means.
problem. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching Surrey School's Mental Health YouTube channel. And we will also be co-broadcasting this on the Stigma Free Facebook page in the 3rd week of May. This is likely the 3rd week of May if you're watching it, but then it'll live forever on the Facebook page as well as on the YouTube channel. So you can always find a way to catch up with Sanjana's previous video and this one as well. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with us today. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.